Alright, we'll call this Trans Am Autocross uh, soft brake pedal, or manual brake soft pedal, take two. So most people probably saw my Facebook post that I did put the power brakes back on it. I think there was a few things running against me with the manual brakes. One is I don't think this particular setup likes a floating caliper, single piston caliper in the rear. I've heard that they require a lot more take-up time, and that takes up too much for the manual brakes. Your manual brake system has to be, your brake system has to be absolutely perfect for it to work as good as it can work, especially when you're turning and everything like that. And then I don't have a floating axle rear end, which means that my axles do move in and out a little bit. They have to move some. I couldn't get rid of all that with the C-clips that I made and modifying that spacer. And I'm not sure we have the right master cylinder setup for it. They said they think I need a bigger one for the rear for the single pistons, and eventually I'll have fixed calipers instead of floating calipers and the floating rear end and all that kind of stuff. And it's a ways down the road, but that'll make that work. So all that is shelved for now. Went back with the still Willwood master cylinder, 1/8" bore. Got the manual adjuster valve under the hood, EBC yellow stuff pads, all the rotors and stuff. But went for a drive today, or yesterday I went for a long drive to do the braking coating part, where they say to just drive them without hitting the brakes as much, to let that braking coating work the rotor themselves. And then today I went out and did all the hard braking from 70 to 30, like 8 times, give or take. I got stuck with some traffic, but it stopped amazing. This is probably the best the car's ever stopped right now with these new pads on it and going back to the power brakes and everything. It's unbelievable. It's not quite as good as the Miata, but I'm also at a 1,400 pound deficit to that little car. That thing it'll make you throw up. It'll stop so hard. But this thing's getting there. I mean, for a 3,700 pound car with me in it, I think that's a pretty good. It stops pretty good. It made me a little sick in the car today. I had to take some headache medicine when I got back from that. But made a little alignment adjustment. It was pulling one way. So I did that, and I feel like it balanced it out a little bit. So it's driving straight. Brakes are good. I think it's back to 100% as far as ready to race it and everything. Yeah, so we'll come back to the manual brakes. I'm gonna box all that up, store it away, and we'll revisit that another day. I think it can work. It's just, I think there's just some things, my system just isn't ready for that just yet. But it's good to go now. I think, the weight loss was negligible, but it'll come back eventually. So beyond that, we did have some other issues this week. I've had some power problems. At one point, this was before the event and everything, I had some problems with some of my fuses under the hood working loose. I had to Loctite some of those, and my main power wire, the set screw coming loose on it. So I fixed all that before the event, obviously, but then this week I had problems on the other end of the car where the circuit breaker is. It kept popping the circuit breaker for some reason. I found out the wire was hot going to the battery. It wasn't shorted, so I did some troubleshooting, found the terminal was loose on the battery, so I had to tighten it up, still did it. Turned out it was the set screw on the other side of the circuit breaker going to the battery that was loose, so I guess it was tripping the breaker that way somehow. This thing is very sensitive with all the drive-by-wire, modern computer and anything. It's very sensitive to any kind of power change at all. It does not like it at all. But I fixed all that. All that's 100% now. Yeah, I went through the brakes with the power brakes. I bled it twice. I feel better about where the pedal's at now. Just getting used to not having to push so hard on the pedal compared to before. It's different when you're used to putting all your might into the pedal as opposed to having the booster help you. So I see where the difference is and where it can be helpful to have the manual brakes, so you know what you're putting down because you're having to push the pedal hard. But I'm trying to think of what else. I cleaned it up a little bit today, um, and bled the clutch. I got to bleed the clutch all the time because it gets so hot that fluid comes out like dark. Like I feel like after every event, it comes out dark every single time. More so than the brake fluid. Brake fluid seems to hold up pretty good no matter what I have in it, but the clutch just does not like the heat and everything. Even with the line I have running through the bulkhead inside the car, then back out into the tunnel, and I guess just the heat from being in that bell housing, it just eats up that fluid like real quick. Does not like it. So I keep that thing bled. It was a little bit sticky today. Yeah, besides that, I think everything is doing good. The rebuilt power steering pump and revalved is definitely helping the steering. It still whines a little bit, but it doesn't overflow quite as much. I still have to put a rag on it to kind of absorb that fluid. The new struts, the rebuilt struts, seem to be pretty happy on it right now. Yeah, it's driving straight, driving good. I mean, I got the AC had an issue with a switch. I had to bypass one because I still got to get that switch, but the AC is working. Still can't get the cruise to work. I tried some stuff today, but I did not try it because I was so focused on the brakes. But I'm still trying to figure out how to get the cruise to work with the manual transmission. Ever since then, it hasn't liked to work and everything. So still trying to figure that out. I'm not sure what else I can do to it. I'm kind of baffled. So I adjusted the switches on the clutch pedal and the brake pedal a little bit more. Maybe I had them out a little too far. So eventually I'll remember to do that. But I've got the car comfortable enough I can drive it without it. I had the gas pedal was a little bit too close to me. So because it's drive-by-wire, I had to adjust it. It came out of a truck, so I had to modify the pedal. But I cut it, the bracket, and moved it back about 1.5 inches, so my foot's not so jammed up on it, so I can actually drive it, all the way to Cherry Point, 3.5 hours, and be in reasonable comfort in it and stuff. So that's good to be able to do that. Yeah, aside from that, I think everything's looking good right now. I'm pretty excited about getting it back out again and seeing what it can actually do again. Still learning these new tires. That was only my 3rd event on having these big sticky tires. I've been on a lot smaller tire, so still kind of learning kind of where the grip level is and everything. And then the last event with the brakes being messed up, basically it's terrible running. I had brakes, but not very much, so I felt pretty good about what I ran considering how it was doing. So obviously a lot of people know that we pulled it from the event after the first 3 runs. It was just not manageable, not safe and everything, so we pulled it out for that, and had to regroup and everything. It's fine in the straight line, obviously everyone knows that story, so it's fine to drive home, no issues there. It just did not like the car to be turning at all, or turning hard at all as far as the brake pedal goes and stuff. So looking forward to getting back out again at Darlington next Saturday, and then be another big venue, be ZMAX the weekend after that, and we'll have a little bit of a break, and then go back to Cherry Point again. So that'll be a good one. So I'm thinking it's a little dirty underneath because I had to ride in some rain and everything on the way back. And so I think I'm going to clean up a little bit. I've never done this before. I've not done a lot of videos. It's kind of new, trying this out. So I think I'm going to clean it up a little bit next week, maybe Monday underneath, get it up on jack stands, and I'm going to try and do a overall layout of the car and what I've done to it, and what I've made myself, and where other parts came from, and what kind of springs I'm running, shocks I'm running, just everything, everything about it, and that'd be kind of interesting to go over that. I've never done that kind of thing before. Well, only talked to people about it, so kind of go all in on that. So that'd be kind of fun. So it was nice to clean it up a little bit this afternoon. I finally got everything working right, so it's always nice to, the only thing you have to do is clean it up and everything. So no timeline on the paint. I can't even think about painting. I hate painting, so that having that off the road for 2 years to paint it was torture. So I'll slowly work on that over time. I'm just not really do not enjoy body work one bit, but eventually it'll get painted again, and it'll look beautiful again. I mean, if you look at it from one half, I guess it's not too bad. So we'll work on that. Yeah, aside from that, I don't really have any other improvements coming up on it. You know, I think at this point it's time to just drive it and learn these tires and learn how far it can go. I do want to work on the spoiler. I'm not, a lot of people in cam run, you know, a big spoiler on the back. I've not yet run one of those. So that's another thing I've heard that can get me, you know, 3/4 tenths to a half a second is what I heard from somebody at the last Cherry Point event, because I asked him about his. But I don't want to drill into my deck lid. I want to use the holes that are already in it. So I got to figure out how to make that happen, and everything. So I want to make it removable, because I'm like driving to the event with a 10-inch spoiler on the back of the car, you know, because I do drive it. I drive it every event, regardless of what happens on the way, whether I get in an accident or hit a deer. I enjoy the car, I enjoy driving it, and I think that's kind of part of it, is to drive it to the event and do what it does and have fun and getting it and drive it home. And if it breaks, it breaks. And I'll just have to deal with it. So I'm try and keep doing that, trying to keep it race, but still street. I mean, I think my interpretation might be a little extreme. It does ride kind of rough sometimes, but you know, if I'm willing to deal with it, then it is what it is. But I will continue to drive it regardless of what the chances are. I think that's what it's for, what I built it for, what I enjoy about it. That's half the enjoyment, is driving it to the event and everything. So anyway, enough on that. So I'll turn this around kind of the engine bay. There's the new old brake setup back on it again. Had to make the bracket. You can barely see it in there. It's the support bracket for the flex. These things have terrible firewall flex. So I made the new, you can kind of see it in there, the new bracket for it to keep it from flexing. And got the manual adjuster knob for the brakes, so eventually I'll start messing with that a little bit more, but it feels like it's pretty good. I haven't locked out the rears today at all, so felt pretty good. So yeah, try and do that video next week and kind of give a overview of everything on it. A quick little run through here. Alrighty, well, anybody that's watching, I appreciate it, and I'm gonna attempt to try and do some more of these. I'm not much on taking time away from working to do video during the day, so I'll do the best I can with that kind of thing. But oh yeah, that's Belinda's Oscar. Yeah, keep him in the loop. So I do have some work to do on it from the rear end collision. I need to repaint I'm gonna repaint the whole front end on that thing. It's pretty easy to take that thing apart and do it. I'm gonna take everything off of it this time and paint it. So maybe I'll do a couple updates on it eventually. I do have the paint for it, just a matter of once again painting, which I hate, but it shouldn't be too bad. It took the hit pretty good for that little car. So yeah, there they are. So anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll do another video next week of the rundown of the whole car. Thanks for watching. Bye.